Hello everybody, this is Manues and welcome to another Eternal Contenders video series. Today I want to share an update to a pretty old deck which I called Combrei Party. It's basically the old Obelisk Combrei deck, splashing blue for Scouting Party to make the deck a bit more versatile and powerful, since the pure Combrei approach kind of just felt sort of weak and one-dimensional and just not quite cut it. But even with Party, the deck was only decent back then, and it became a lot better now, thanks to Kothon and also a bit to how the format changed in a way. So let's talk about the deck. We still have like the typical cards you would expect to see: 4 Initiative of the Sands, 4 Awakened Student, 4 Desert Marshal, 4 Amber Acolyte, 4 Siraf, 4 Enforcer, and 4 Titan, as well as 4 Scouting Party. And then we have 3 Vanquish and 4 Obelisk, also cards you would expect to see in this. Then to the new and or less obvious cards. 4 Seek Power, since the deck now is not simply splashing a single cost 6-drop in blue, it actually wants to play a 2-drop that it prefers to play on turn 2 or 3 with Kothon. So that makes Seek Power pretty necessary and important to tie the power together, because before you could just replace some Justice Sigils with green-blue duals, play a single Primal Sigil and just keep the Diplomatic Seals, suddenly giving you like 9 Primal plus 4 Amber Acolyte, putting you at 13 Primal for a 6-drop, which was very decent. But now that's not enough. Like, Amber Acolyte basically doesn't do anything for Kothon, so we have to ignore it in that regard, and we usually want around 15 to 16 Primal for Kothon to be reliable on turn, reasonably reliable on turn 2. So we need Seek Power for that. Then we obviously have Kothon. It's a great addition for the deck, giving the deck some more robust early game, because the only real 2-drop is Awakened Student. Desert Marshal is kind of like a turn 2 removal spell against low to the ground aggressive decks, but that's it. And Student isn't even a board presence on 2, because it trades with 1-drop, so you usually only starts impacting the game on turn 3, and Kothon does all that Student doesn't basically. So if you have both, it's basically perfect to go turn 2 Kothon to stall the 1-drops, and then turn 3 Student plus Power to make it a 3/3, suddenly giving you 2/3 health units, locking down aggro decks really hard. The deck is extremely good at locking down especially Skycrack and Rakano in my experience. Alright, then we have 2 Stand Together. Card is just a tad better, I think, than Backlash in Elysian, simply because it's more proactive, but still stops the most important spell that these decks usually care about, which is a sweeper, mostly Harsh Roll. Since outside of Harsh Roll, Backlash is just more of a nice to have decent thing rather than something that you actually gain a lot from or even need. I don't even run it in my Elysian decks, because the deck usually does fine enough against Harsh Roll even without Backlash. But yeah, having Stand Together as a way to blow out removal, blow out sweepers, and sometimes also blow out combat is a lot of things for one card, and also increasing our clock, that the card becomes very much worth running. And in the last free slot, I'm running a single Crystallize at the moment. This used to be a 3rd Stand Together, but it's kind of like a close call. Stand Together does some stuff that Crystallize doesn't, and vice versa. And multiple stands can be a bit clunky and awkward, and sometimes the impact of the card is pretty low, and Crystallize can just randomly win the game and synergizes a bit better with Scouting Party. So having a nice way to break through is good, even though I'm not super happy about double Primal, especially because I don't think we can afford 2 and 1 to run a second Primal Sigil for the Crystallize. So we basically need to draw 1 Primal source naturally and then fetch Primal. Overall, our amount is fine. So we have like 20 Primal, so that's a really good amount for a double blue 2-drop. There will just be sometimes games where you would need to 2-draw for both blue sources and you can't. And running the second Primal Sigil just hurt the deck much more than it helps. So I would recommend to not do that, because it hurts the Enforcers and Titans and like turn 2 Marshals and Students a lot if we turn any of these sources into a Primal. Like even if we turn, say, a Hooru Banner or Seed of Order into a Primal, it would hurt a lot. Like, let's check, we have 7, 11, 13, 17 green for turn 2 or 3, and 21 for turn 4. Like, if you really want to, like, if you would run this in a tournament and really need the second Primal for sideboard cards too, I could see cutting, like, I think a Seed of Order for Primal Sigil, and just reducing the Justice to 16 and 20 respectively as well, which is okay. But yeah, it's not that great. Like, I think for ladder I would stay away from it. Because in the sideboard you would probably want more Crystallize and maybe some other double blue cards. Then you have to bite it and just run the second Primal Sigil probably. But yeah, with one Crystallize you don't need to. And yeah, the deck has been doing phenomenally for me. Over the last 30 games I'm 20 and 10. Over the first 20 games I was 17 and 3. I just had a pretty bad run in the last 10 games. And the longest win streak I had was 11-0, which is super impressive. And it catapulted me all the way into like top 20. And the like bad run catapulted me out of top 100 again, because every loss costs you like 3 wins right now. So you basically have to go 3-1 to like break even most of the time, which is absurd. But what can you do? That's what happens when the game grows and the skill level rises. You just start flipping coins at the top, because the edges are so small that you play against people that also only make small or no mistakes and play good decks. Then you're pushing the variance of your decks a lot, which makes it even more important to play reliable and consistent decks actually. So yeah, deck has been doing really well, feels really good, has been doing really well against Elysian, Rakano and Skycrack especially, and also Faln, and you see a lot of those right now. Burn Queen has also been a decent matchup, and yeah, I wanted to share this. Hulkbuster actually made top 8 of the Invitational a while back with a very similar list, but yeah, I didn't like his power base, so I improved the power base basically. And yeah, other than that, there's not a whole lot of choices honestly with this deck, since once you decide you're going to be heavy Combrei, splashing some Primal, the deck sort of builds itself. And as you know, there is like a V1 version of this with the party, so I built this deck like a long time ago, so it's not like I'm ripping off of anyone. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that other people have been trying the same or similar things and had success with it, and the deck is pretty promising and pretty good. I can definitely recommend picking it up for laddering right now. It feels really good, and the power level and incremental value in the deck's really high, making it play pretty well into the deeper game and grind fairly well, and just overpower people based on power of cards a lot. Okay, that's it for the deck tech. As usual, if you enjoy the video, please drop a like. If you want to see more content in the future, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the first half of the games coming up in a moment. As usual, thanks for watching.